the level of happiness that we get to experience has everything to do with our fondness and attachment to our past. Something about the past, a memory, a certain experience, something that is significant. Still, even though many years or decades might have passed. So, how much of a fondness, how much of a longing do you have to relive parts of your past? Now, sometimes people think that this reliving, the desire to re-experience the past, is referring necessarily to a positive experience. Not so. Because oftentimes we have a tendency to relish and to think about, dwell on aspects of our past. In psychology, for example, this is usually referred to as the negative bias, where the mind goes anticipating for the worst to happen first before it considers the possibility of something better, something constructive, something good. In Buddhism we call kusala. So, in other words, the mind will look for something that is akusala, that is unwholesome first as a possibility for it, as it looks forward, which necessitates for me to also point out how we have our eyes placed on our face, right on top and on both sides of the nose, the bridge of the nose, for a reason. Your eyes are not at the back of your skull. Sometimes I would say this to therapy patients in the past, where if you want to think about better possibilities, if you really want to think of seeing yourself in a happy state, you need to stop looking at your past. Your eyes are not located there anyhow. Look forward. Stop this fascination, this attachment, this longing for the past. Life is not happening there. It cannot happen there. Although it might sound rudimentary and so basic, we all need to hear this, I realize. Often I have to repeat this to students and individuals coming for help. And when you look around and explore as to what might be happening in their lives, you see that there's nothing that negative taking place, except for the person's tendency to look over their shoulder, behind them, scouring for something from the past that has a heavy emotional weight to it. And that's one of the reasons, or if not the primary reason, why we go and dwell in something that has been gone for good, trying to revive it. Revive what, though? Not the past, but the emotional weight of it, the emotional impact it has had on us. Sometimes even the painful experience, the emotions, the painful negative emotions that one has experienced, that as a person resorts to it, goes back and tries to pull it out of the ashes, is simply the person's attempt to feel alive again. Because their life right now, the person's life, for some reason has become mundane, stale, stagnant, going nowhere. So even in those instances, even the negative experience, the negative emotion, or emotions, because usually it's not just one emotion that takes place. In Buddhism, we just narrow it down under one umbrella, and we call it the one of the three feelings, meaning this would be the second type of feeling, which is the one that causes us to abhor something, to feel disgust towards something, painful. The first would be the pleasant, second would be, as I mentioned, painful, and the third would be the neither pleasurable nor the painful, meaning neutral. But we don't care for the third one. We're usually going between the two extremes of the pendulum, pushing ourselves away from the negative emotion so that we can go to the other extreme of the pendulum, which is the type of experience or emotional states that are giving us pleasure. Neither of these two are permanent. Hence, the drama of life. Being a victim to these unconstructive, akusala, absolutely a waste type of an affair. So let's look ahead, especially now that we're in the new year. It could be a fresh start. It's a new page, a crisp white new page for us to start. A new version of ourselves. But it takes work. It's not a one-time thing. It's not okay, you change the direction. No, you have to constantly tweak yourself to maintain the course, because the old tendencies are always there whenever your sati is not there, whenever your awareness is not there. Awareness of how you're slipping through these thoughts. It's very slippery, being in the present. If your mind is not there, that is. So, be cognizant. Stop going back to the past and expecting a brighter future, a greater present. The past is dead and gone. And the future is not here, Lord Buddha says. All you have is this present moment. What are you going to do about it? How about we start with a smile? Let's learn from the past, but without going there. Bring it up only in the case where you want to reintroduce something positive into the present, meaning learning something from the past. That I remember it was a bad decision of me to do that. I could have done a better job, and drop it. Don't slip into the emotional states because there's wounds there probably. We don't want to dwell there because the mind has a tendency of going to whatever is familiar, and the past is very familiar. Even though most of the familiarity comes from just the added textures that we have added post the event, post the actual event that has taken place, meaning smudged it with a lot of emotionality. How could you do this? How could this person might have done that, etc.? And we smear it with all kinds of stuff. And because we play and replay that tape again and again and again, the familiarity of it draws us back into it, draws us back into the past, the black hole of the past. So release yourself from the black hole of the past. And in that sense, sati breaks the laws of physics. In that sense, because it allows you to shoot right through out, move out of the reach of the black hole. You won't be stuck in the event horizon, for all your physics buffs out there. So sati, or mindfulness, has the power. You're never going to be able to be mindful of the future, nor mindful of the past, but you can only be mindful of the present. So let's stick to the present. I'll stop now. I hope this is helpful.